Tesla on autopilot going 40 miles an hour towards a fake Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner painted wall. Please stop. Please.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Stevie83 back with another react. You know what I'm saying? It's your boy. I'm your boy. Hope y'all like this video. We're going to see if we can pull a test drive a car. Well, we're going to react to it. We ain't out there doing it. Not yet, anyway. We're going to be getting some videos up soon as we get this new ride. I'm about to buy a new ride, you know? I'm about to spend all this cake right here on a new ride. But we're not buying a Tesla, that's for sure. Make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new. Turn that little bell on so you never miss another upload. You know what I'm saying? Get with the program.
Please stop. And I'm doing this to see if Tesla's autopilot can be tricked, because it famously only relies on simple cameras to navigate the world, as opposed to much more expensive tech. In fact, we're out here today to run a bunch of tests in extreme conditions to see how those simple cameras on the Tesla stack up against other fancy cars that use more advanced technology.
Wow!
And the story of how I ended up as a crash test dummy in my own car,
Yeah, like how you do that?
started 6 months back at Disneyland.
Well, you wouldn't use your own car, would you? Unless you're making real content.
And as I was sneaking onto the famously pitch black ride called Space Mountain. And while I might look a little plus sized in that jacket, as you can see from this infrared camera shot, that's no ordinary jacket because it's hiding some of that fancy car technology.
Yeah, baby!
43 million people ride Space Mountain every year, but unlike a famous ride like Colossus, Space Mountain is in near total darkness, meaning no one knows what the ride actually looks like, which as far as I'm concerned, needed to be fixed with a special undercover operation.
Now, I've never heard of this place. Hit the like button if you've heard of it.
True story, I have been wanting to make this video for over 20 years, way before I had a YouTube channel, because I would come to Disneyland and just be like, someday the technology will be there, so we could map out what Space Mountain actually looks like. So, this is a very
Did you think he really thought about that? I hope he did.
big moment for me.
That's
That's common knowledge. Every good undercover operation worth its salt needs a 3-step plan. For me, step 1 would just be getting into Disneyland with my tech through their famously tight security. If I managed to do that, step 2 would be making it through the park, avoiding any security guards on my way to Space Mountain. And finally, for step 3, I would need to sneak onto the ride itself while avoiding any suspicion to make my childhood dream come true. And if all this seems like overkill, let's just say I have a bit of history getting kicked out of amusement parks in the name of science.
Follow you, man. Why are you doing this to me?
Bro, I did not know you could get put out of an amusement park for having your phone. Like, what are they on?
For step 1, I took an oversized jacket and made a little pocket inside where I could hide my secret tech inside it.
It's like the slight limp shuffle walk that really sells it, I think.
Because
He don't look obvious as hell. Something's up.
they make you walk through metal detectors, I disguised and temporarily placed my device with a bunch of gear in my camera bag. And just had to hope it wouldn't get discovered.
We'll just wait till your eye gets fully free in case you have an item that's not supposed to be here.
And even though this moment of truth was terrifying, I knew I just needed to play it cool. Like that.
Excuse me, can you not record the...
And the security was in fact extremely tight. But our alibi was tighter.
All right, we're in. 1 down, 2 to go.
Once inside, I immediately made my way to a bathroom to properly suit up. Now I just had to make it all the way over to Space Mountain without arousing the suspicion of any of the park's security, which is a lot harder than you might think because it's a well-kept secret.
He looked like a stone cold goofy out there, motherfucker. He looked like, man, I can't even think of it, or can I say it on YouTube?
Disney employs a bunch of
Make
security
sure y'all go check out my TikTok channel too.
officers dressed up in plain clothes as normal park goers, so I could trust no one. So in an attempt to blend in and look like a normal park goer, I took a corn dog break. Doing this for the integrity of the mission.
Not because they're incredibly delicious.
Back on track after a close call or two, I had made it inside the building.
All right, 2 down. Now for the hard part.
Now that we're inside, it's probably a good time to explain why my jacket looks like this when you view it with an infrared camera, because that is a really tiny portable LiDAR scanner. So it's shooting out 640,000 laser pulses per second to fully map the surroundings. Now, as for the legality of this, if you check the back of your ticket, it says you have to obey all the park rules. And if you check their website for the rules on forbidden items, it says you can't bring in shoes with wheels, or stun guns, or cremated remains. Ew. But you'll notice the forbidden items list makes no mention of chest-mounted LiDAR scanners. So technically, I'm not breaking any laws by precisely mapping out this entire ride down to the nearest half-inch.
Don't blow this, Rover. We got this.
That's
And so after
crazy.
sneaking past the last of the ride security, I was finally in place. And this is probably a good time to point out that the final boss here in this control room, watching all the infrared see-in-the-dark cameras, was the one I was most afraid would shut down the whole operation. Because when we tested this out to see how inconspicuous the LiDAR would be, as you can see here, not very, as it lights up the whole place like a Christmas tree. By the way, you should know LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging, whereas radar is radio detection and ranging. Basically, it's like having a bunch of laser pointers inside this shell, shooting all around the room. And each time you fire one of them, you then see how long it takes for you to see it hit the object it's pointed at. And since we know the speed of light, if we measure that time, it will tell us how far away the object is. For example, it will take twice as long to detect a laser point on an object that's 20 feet away, as opposed to an object that's 10 feet away. But how could the sensor possibly keep track of 640,000 laser pulses firing all out at once? Well, it turns out, amazingly, they actually happen one after another. So the sensor only has to keep track of one pulse at a time. And this works because the speed of light is so fast, in fact, if you slow time way down, so the time it takes a laser to hit an object is 4 slow-mo seconds, then you can wait 30 minutes on that slow-mo time scale before sending the next pulse. So it's actually really easy for the sensor to know exactly which laser pulse it's measuring, even if that happens 640,000 times in a single second.
Got a lot
With that,
of
it was
good
time for the
computers,
execution phase of Secret Undercover Operation Mousetrap.
Let's go.
It felt so good to cross off a 30-year-old bucket list item.
I bet it does. Hey, that's a long bucket list.
But just as I feared,
That's a
as our
long
exact
time to
car
have a
pulled
bucket
back
list.
into the station, they stopped the ride and announced it was being locked down.
All flights have been put in a holding pattern.
Stop the ride.
His ass got
And I was
busted.
about to have an unscheduled appointment with a bunch of dudes with muscles much bigger than mine. But as it turns out, it was an unrelated power issue, which meant this was a mission accomplished.
That's like a dream
Yeah,
come
me
true.
scared.
Before
How
I
about
even had a
y'all?
YouTube channel, I wanted to do that.
And the only critical oversight of the whole operation was forgetting they took those dumb keychain photos at the end of the ride, leaving behind some very incriminating evidence at the scene.
I forgot to put it away. That's so awesome.
That's Harrison, by the way. And he started the company that makes these super small portable LiDARs. So after mapping out a few more rides like Haunted Mansion,
Let's go. Hey, making friends along
and
the way.
continuing my painstaking efforts to blend in, we headed home so Harrison could process all the data. And a few days later, he did not disappoint.
This is from the LiDAR you were wearing on your chest.
Get out of here.
All of this is totally in the dark.
Now what's really cool is we could visualize what was recorded as the ride progresses. And so as you can see here, you get a sense of what the LiDAR was seeing in real time as the ride progressed on. But what's even cooler though is we can now use that data to make an actual tabletop 3D model of Space Mountain with the help of our army of 3D printers.
Oh,
Which meant for
man,
the first time
they got
ever,
a
this
bunch
question
of
marks days were numbered.
And he's got a flamethrower.
Got it.
So while all the 3D printers were hard at work, we also reviewed the data we captured from the Haunted Mansion ride, where we made two super interesting discoveries. The first is that the initial room they take you in is really just a fancy elevator so they can get you underground to transport you to the real ride, which actually isn't in this house at all. Because when you go down this hallway, you're walking under this hill you see here. So by the time you load onto the ride, you're totally outside the park. But if that's true, there should be some evidence for this besides our scan. And sure enough, there is. Because if you look back at this shot of the hill, you can actually see just the corner of some kind of large building. And if you check that answer on Google Maps, you can see this entire massive above ground warehouse where the ride actually takes place that matches up perfectly with our LiDAR scan, which is just super clever engineering by the super talented Disney Imagineers. And the second discovery is they use a lot of super thin, nearly invisible curtains they project on that create a lot of the illusions like these flying ghosts. And while your eye might get fooled, as you can see here, there's no hiding from the LiDAR scan. And so you can imagine there are some incredible real-world applications for this LiDAR technology. Like every day when your phone scans your face to unlock itself, or when archaeologists use it to find lost ancient cities from the sky, or for example,
Dude, that's crazy how technology works.
in cars. And as you might have guessed, this car automatically saved itself from crashing because it uses a LiDAR sensor, which as you can imagine, would have saved Wile E. Coyote a lot of pain over the years.
Oh, Wally,
And the
used to
reason
get
it works so well is because it's
beat up.
updating that point cloud of 640,000 laser measurements every second to the brain of this car, showing exactly what's in front of it. In fact, it works so well, as you can see here, I can maneuver all around these obstacles in real time with all the windows blacked out, looking just at that point cloud in a VR headset.
Okay, easy bike guy.
My Tesla on autopilot, however, only relies on simple cameras and its image processing to navigate
Why
the
so
world. So to
cheap?
see if that tech is just too simple, we came up with a 6-part LiDAR versus camera head-to-head face-off, culminating in a history-making first Tesla versus cartoon physics test. Okay,
That's
so we're
just
starting
so
out
fresh.
with the car with the LiDAR. First test is just kids standing in the road. Not sure why he's doing that. It's very unsafe, so we want to be extra careful.
Okay, hit it.
Here's where we wager something. Does anybody want to put on a bet that one of them's gonna crash?
The testing speed was 40 miles an hour. Should have put my seatbelt on, which meant the LiDAR would have to detect the kid and then slam on the brakes at least 60 feet in front of him. And it turned out, that's all it needed.
Hey,
Now it was Tesla's turn.
got one
This
up.
is a terrible feeling driving straight at a kid, but this is for science.
Forward.
All right, we are up to speed.
And with just simple cameras, the Tesla was speeding fast,
Oh no.
but did detect the kid.
Oh snap! I knew one was
Just
gonna do it.
not in time to
It
fully
the
hit the
full-
brakes.
Oh no. He was even a Crunch Labs
Tesla.
fan.
Yeah, I was
Now, if
going
you're a
to buy
Tesla
one
owner,
too.
there
I'm
is a
glad I
silver
didn't.
lining
Wow.
because we were relying on the automatic emergency braking system to stop for the car.
ABS.
And because it assumes the driver is paying full attention while fully driving the car, it only hits the brakes when it's 100% sure there's a problem in order to avoid
What?
false positives. So the alternative
There's no way to
is to
stop
use
for that.
autopilot. And that assumes the driver isn't paying much attention, and while the downside is you get way more phantom braking and false positives,
Oh, that was ridiculous.
the upside is you're less likely to be charged with vehicular manslaughter. Because you can see here on autopilot, it actually stopped in time. So I decided to be nice and call the score 1-1, and then I'd be even nicer by using the more conservative autopilot on the Tesla for all the remaining tests. Such as this one, where we would now simulate the kid dashing out from behind a parked car using some clever engineering, giving the cars less than a second to identify the mannequin and stop themselves.
Here we go, getting up
That's
to
not
speed.
very much time. That's
Oh,
not
the
at
ball
all.
came out. I wonder why that happened. Oh, kid! Another life saved.
Now it was the Tesla's turn on autopilot.
40 miles an hour. There goes the ball.
And impressively, it stopped with plenty of room to spare.
Okay, good job, Tesla.
Which meant we were all tied up heading into round 3, the fog round.
Optically, with my own eyes, I can
Fog?
no longer see that there's
There's
a kid
been a
through
lot
this
of talk
fog.
about fog
The
lately.
LiDAR has no issue. This will be interesting. Okay, here we go. Oh, wall of fog.
So we plunged through the fog, coming to a very sudden break,
Hey,
after which we saw the mannequin was not only still standing, but it was casting a really cool long shadow, because the lasers
That's
don't
cool.
pass through
Ah.
solid objects, just like how you can cast a long shadow with the sun, because light doesn't pass through solid objects.
I don't have high hopes here.
But would the kid look just as cool after the Tesla test?
Oh, fudge!
Oh my God.
I mean,
Tesla's
does make
not
everything
good.
look sort of cool, but that wasn't the only shot.
I actually hit the brakes there.
That was on autopilot?
The cameras didn't even hit the brakes at all. The only
Oh
thing still
my
on is
God.
the pants. That was a bad one.
And now that LiDAR had taken another W,
somebody call 911.
the next test would see if the cars could spot the kid under a torrential downpour made up of maybe too
Man,
much
when's
water.
it ever gonna rain like
This
that?
is really interesting. See, the Tesla can see the kid, but as soon as it starts raining, the kid is gone.
And it was similar in the LiDAR
Oh
car, where
my
you first got a
goodness.
clear image of the kid and the shadow.
They
Once we
want
started
you
the
to-
hose.
Oh.
You see all the water going in. LiDAR might struggle here. Okay, here we go.
And as the wall of water started, LiDAR seemed to not slow down at all.
boy.
That's
To
good.
the
That
last
is good.
possible second.
Another W. Now I just need the rain to stop. You know any good rain dances? Oh, that's actually a good idea.
Now that LiDAR had surprised me, it was time to see if Tesla could as well.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Man, he done, that's 3. He done took out
Sadly,
3.
it did not. And though I did everything I could,
Yeah, he's no longer with us.
so it was on to the penultimate round 5, where we had 6 of the brightest lights
This
that
ain't
money
gonna
could
happen.
buy simulate either sunset or sunrise, or a truck in the road having its bright lights on. Would these lights keep the cars from detecting the kid?
blinding trucker light test. Let's go.
The LiDAR could immediately see much more than my eyes could. When the lights turned on,
Oh, that's a bright light.
question remained if it would see the kid.
Come on,
LiDAR still
LiDAR.
kicking it.
Oh!
Good job.
And it did it, no problem.
That Lexus
Always
is
waits
staying
to
at
the
10
last minute.
toes.
It gets me every time. That's very bright. Time to be blinded by the light.
And it's true, these lights were so bright, I wouldn't have seen this kid on my own. And at this point, I really doubted that the Tesla could either. But when it pulled to a stop,
It worked.
Okay, we stopped for the kid with the
Who
bright
would've
light.
thunk
A W for the Tesla.
and that W meant these were the scores headed into the painted brick wall ultimate grand finale. Scientific papers have actually been written on this exact scenario, debating theoretically what the Tesla would do. But we were here once and for all to silence all the debates with cold hard data.
All right, so LiDAR is perfect and Tesla is 3 for 5. But as far as I'm concerned at this point, this one's the only one that matters.
That's all that matters. Is to go see it.
All right, hit it.
Now, as
Lord.
you can see as a human driver, while that looks sort of convincing, the image processing in our brains is advanced enough that we pick up on minor visual inconsistencies and we wouldn't hit it. And as for the LiDAR, it isn't looking at what image is printed on the wall. So this sort of just looks like a wall, which would make this the easiest test of the day. And as I suspected,
That car's good.
Handled it with no problem.
That
so the question
car's
was,
good.
would the
That's a
Tesla
good
detect
car.
and stop for this Wile E. Coyote-style painted wall that was hiding yet another child staring at nothing during what might be his last minutes on Earth?
The one way to test that hypothesis. I was actually supposed to go, but I chickened out.
Hold on. Why were them straps in the back?
The car may not know it's a wall, but I know it's a wall. Everything in your body says, don't drive into a wall.
Man,
oh,
get up,
boy.
man.
All right.
Where do they raise these men at nowadays?
And so I steeled myself and accelerated the Tesla up to the 40 miles an hour. And as the wall crept closer and closer without moving an inch,
Holy
the
crap.
question was if the Tesla would detect it in time to step on the brakes. And it turned out... Holy...
Oh! What the?
So I can definitively say for the first time in the history of the world, Tesla's optical camera system would absolutely smash through
Man,
a fake
no
wall
fucking
without
way that
even a
thing's
slight
full of
tap on the brakes.
Styrofoam.
My heart is gonna beat out of my chest. Turns out my Tesla's more Wile E. Coyote and less Roadrunner. Sorry, little fella. Looks like we lost 2 arms and a head. Not sure that's salvageable. I think I might Uber home.
But that's not all, folks, because while LiDAR proved itself the superior car technology, could it actually deliver on the dream of 14-year-old Mark Rober and map out Space Mountain well enough for me to make a scaled 3D printed model? And after 30 years of waiting, I'm happy to report,
Boom.
for the first time ever, this is what the Space Mountain track actually looks like.
Wow. This is so
He made
cool.
little people.
Oh, there's me!
You should have made one with the
There's me,
LiDAR.
little backwards hat! I recognize every single one of these turns. You go up right there, then you come down, and then it's all the right turns, right turns, right turns. Right here is where they take your picture. This is wild. 14-year-old me would be so proud right now.
So
this
proud.
is it. Space Mountain
Get in
has
touch
been
with your
revealed.
inner
And thanks
self,
to Harrison's
man.
mapping
Your
technology,
younger
this
self.
means you can now actually see what it would look like to ride Space Mountain with all the lights on in Crunch Labs, even if at this size, you'd be way below the ride's 5-foot minimum height requirement.
That's cool.
And all of this is
Hey.
why I love being an engineer. You get to shape the
Engineer.
future, potentially save a bunch of lives, and accomplish even the most ridiculous 30-year life goals.
Yes, sir. Let's go. That's it. It's the end of it for me today. Drop it in the comments if you had thought it was interesting. If you liked it, anything, just drop it in the comments. Say, hey, get off the channel if you want to say get off the channel. But drop something in the comments. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Peace.